What's up guys, Jeff from Sorta Healthy here. Today's video is about 5 things that I want every trainer to try to do. Now if you're watching this video upon release, which is early 2024, great, you get to start working on all this stuff right at the beginning of a new year. If you're watching this video later on though, guess what? It doesn't really matter too much. You can still implement everything I'm about to say. It doesn't matter when you start, it just matters that you do. Initially, this video was going to be a prediction video on how I think the personal training industry is going to do in 2024. I did do one of those leading into 2023. A recession is always possible, but not that likely, and I think that trainers who do the 5 things that we're about to talk about will do very well in the next year, regardless of what happens to the economy. So then, let's get into all of that. Real quick, if you wouldn't mind, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already, because both of those things really help to support this channel, and this channel is a free resource for all fitness professionals. Thank you very much for that, guys. It's very appreciated. Your support is what allows us to keep making free content like this. Now on to the rest of the video. After watching this, the first thing that I want all of you to do is make a plan. Your plan should be divided into 2 sections, short-term and long-term sections. The short-term section should extend from now to 1 year from now, and the long-term section should look 3 to 5 years into your future. In the short-term section, you should write down 3 big career things that you want to get done this year or 365 days from now. In the long-term section, you should write down 5 different outcomes that you want to achieve in the next 3 to 5 years. Of course, your short-term goals should bring you closer to achieving your long-term goals or outcomes. Let's dive into a quick example. Maybe in the short term or next year, you want to 1. Work in a gym doing 15 plus sessions a week on average. 2. Get a nutrition coaching certification. 3. Start to build an online training brand, meaning you'll get your Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok pages up and running, and you'll start sharing some basic health and fitness content on there. And then looking more long-term or 3 to 5 years into your future, let's say you want to 1. Get to the point where you're averaging 20 plus training sessions a week. 2. Have 3 high-level continuing education courses completed. 3. Have a bit of an online following consisting of people interested in what you're talking about. 4. Have a handful of online clients. And 5. Be ready or almost ready to go off entirely on your own or be your own boss. If you make short and long-term plans, the odds of achieving all of that stuff becomes far more likely. I've been in this industry for over 10 years now, and in my first few years, I kinda just messed around and worked when I needed to. When I started making short-term and long-term plans and then tried to get 1% closer to the outcomes I wanted each day, my success reached new levels. Of course, you can do that same thing as well. Now, before you make your short-term plans, you might want to listen to everything that I have to say, because that may influence what you want to do. So the second thing I want you to try to do this year is go to a conference. Now, if it's your first year on the job, I get it. Sometimes it's hard to find the time and money to go to a conference. However, if you have the opportunity to attend a trainer conference this year, regardless of your experience level, I think you should. Keep in mind your employer may be willing to cover a fair amount of the cost of attending a conference. I do it for my trainers, and many other employers do it for theirs as well. Just to name a few conferences you should consider, Idea World always has a huge conference somewhere on the West Coast or in Las Vegas. They move it around a bit year to year. They also have smaller conferences throughout the US too. Their conferences are good. I've personally been a few times now. NASM has their Optima conference. I've never been personally, but I've heard it's pretty good too. ACE, the NSCA, and ACSM always have a few things to attend as well. There's other organizations such as the PPSC, Pain-Free Performance Specialist Certification, or the folks over at Functional Range Conditioning that offer some good options for attending events too. FMS, or Functional Movement Systems, also has some good options available. If you eventually want to shift more to online coaching, attending one of NCI's conferences could be useful as well. I do think conferences are underrated in the continuing education space. There's no doubt that attending Idea World back in 2018 was one of the things that helped me to get to where I am now. Being around like-minded people who've done what you're trying to do is huge. All of this is very related to the next thing that I want you to try to do this year, which is to do at least 1 major online certification. Now, if you're just getting started as a trainer, don't worry about getting that course done right away. Get your base certification and some experience under your belt first. That stuff matters the most. However, if you've been working as a trainer for 6+ months, I want you to be at least thinking about what your next certification is going to be. If you've been working for 1 year or longer, you should probably try to do 1 top-tier continuing education course every year or 2 for as long as you're training clients. For those who don't know, we have a tier list playlist for continuing education on this channel. For nutrition coaching, Precision Nutrition Level 1 is our top pick. Corrective exercise is a somewhat controversial topic these days, which I kind of get that, to be honest, but like with a lot of things, I think there are some useful corrective exercise techniques out there. You just don't want to base everything around those corrective exercise strategies. Anyways, the FMS courses and the NASM Corrective Exercise Specialist course are good ones to consider. I plan on reviewing the PPSC and FRC courses this year too, and I could see both of those being useful as well. Anyways, the point here, like we said, is to do one of these big continuing education courses every year, or at the very least every other year. Of course, they help you maintain that base certification, but they should also bring you just a little bit closer to those long-term goals and outcomes. They're also going to help you do something I'll be talking about towards the end of this video. The fourth thing I want you to do is pretty much the opposite of everything I've suggested so far. I want you to take a vacation. Most trainers who stick around for a while in the field do end up dealing with burnout at some point. It's not hard to figure out why that happens either. There's a lot of things that cause trainers to burn out, but there are three things in particular that stand out to me. First off, it's really tough starting out. Simply put, it takes a while to get booked up as a trainer. If you're in a good area where people want and can afford training and you're halfway decent starting out, it will still take you at least 6 months to a year to get booked up. That's being optimistic, by the way. It takes some people way longer than that. The second thing that causes trainers to get burned out is the crazy schedule. You'll be working before work hours, after work hours, or both. You'll be working when other people aren't working, which makes sense because you wouldn't be able to train people while they're doing their job. For many people, working either early mornings, evenings, or even both of those in a single day, which is called a split shift, well, that can be something that wears you down over time. Of course, beyond the weird hours, your schedule can fluctuate a lot week to week too. If a bunch of your top clients are away, or God forbid, you lose a bunch of clients at once, it really hurts. The third thing that I think burns a ton of trainers out is that you always need to be on. It's a very social job. Let me tell you guys, they don't call it personal training for nothing. You will be getting to know your clients on a very personal level. That isn't a bad thing, to be honest. I would actually say it's one of the best aspects of the job. However, it's your job to get your client to a desired outcome, and it's never a straight line to get there. There's going to be setbacks, obstacles, and plenty of things that will come between your clients and their goals. You will be the main person who's guiding this client around those obstacles to that desired outcome. That job comes with a lot of personal conversations, which again makes sense given that we are personal trainers. All of this personal talk, much of which will be centered around things like weight loss, well, they're not always easy things to discuss. Helping people sort out their personal problems is rewarding, but also draining. I don't know about you guys, but I have to let that social battery recharge every once in a while. And what better way to recharge than by taking a vacation? Honestly, aside from quitting and doing something else, there isn't a better way, so make sure to take at least one vacation this year and every year that you do this job. My advice is to aim for at least 1 week of real vacation time each year, and I don't really care how you go about making that happen. You could take a trip to the Caribbean, or you can take a few closer but shorter road trips. Do whatever you want, just don't focus on work for at least 1 week each year to help you avoid that dreaded burnout. The last thing that I want all of you to do this year seems like it wouldn't apply to all of you, but it actually does, so even if you're not self-employed, keep watching, it will make sense soon. This year, or in the next 365 days, I want you to raise your prices. Now, why should you raise your prices? Well, the answer to that is simple. The cost of everything goes up, so your cost has to go up too. Over the last 10 years, the average cost of living has gone up around 3% a year. Your rent or mortgage, gas, electricity bill, groceries, and everything else you buy is constantly becoming more expensive, and that means your costs can't stay static, it needs to go up as well. So if you work for yourself, consider raising all of your prices by $1 or $2, or more than that if it makes sense. Do it in a respectful way and be as fair to all of your clients as you can be. The ones who value you and your services will stay, and more importantly, they will understand. Now, if you're an employee in a typical commercial gym, you can still raise your prices. The only difference is that you can't charge your clients more because technically they're the gym's clients and you work for the gym. However, you can request a raise, therefore raising your cost to the gym itself, which achieves the same end goal. If you're a valuable member of the team in a typical commercial gym, you probably underestimate your own worth. Good trainers are hard to come by, and you likely have more negotiating power than you realize. If you ask, most likely you'll get some sort of a raise. If they won't give you that yearly raise, consider finding employment elsewhere. They don't value your services. Also, this is where attending conferences and completing online courses comes in extra handy. Extra knowledge and skills do make you more valuable. By the way, I plan on doing a video on on increasing your prices this year. Hopefully I have time for that one. Anyways, what do you guys think? What are some training related things that you want to do this year? Make sure to let me know down below in the comments. And if you haven't done so already, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel, because both of those things really do help this channel to grow, and that does allow me to create more free content for all of you. Thanks for watching, everyone, and until next time, stay sort of healthy.